was such a beautiful, beautiful place.
Happy memories of growing up in Te Reureu Valley for Heather Moriarty and her 3 children, Amber, Te Reureu and Hoani.
With all the native bush.
Are you filming me, Mum?
The stream, a fabulous place to bring up children.
Are you filming it?
Mum would just let us take a dog and we'd go down swimming in the stream and spend all day down at the Waitangi. Our safety was our dog. Yeah, I loved that. I remember in summer we would walk all the way from the bridge that was at the end of our driveway and walk along the bed of the Waitangi, then walk all the way to the Rangi TK without any parents or anything. And it was just us roaming, having the best time. Free, no internet. Well, it wasn't even invented. We only had 2 TV channels and you could barely see them.
We're a pretty close-knit community. There was probably like 10 main sort of whānau at the most in Te Reureu.
Yeah, from a young age, me and my friends would just find ourselves a stick and go off and like just explore. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a great place to have a childhood.
It was a simpler time.
And a top Auckland policeman says members of the public should stop blaming the legal system and the police for the high numbers of Māori murder.
Just before dawn, that all changed. February the 11th, 1993.
That morning, it felt odd.
It was a funny feeling that morning.
Hoani was just 11.
So I was getting ready for school and we heard the dogs bark. It was quite an aggressive bark, so I knew someone was there. We pulled across the little curtain and what I saw was a bunch of guys just jumping our fence and heading straight for the house. They can't have been more than 5 seconds away from actually getting to the front door. I saw they had weapons, big weapons, guns.
There was a bang on the door, not a knock, a real bang, and just as I opened it, they pushed it open and pushed me out of the way and just sort of all stormed into the house.
I saw Mum go like sort of get pushed back quite aggressively when I heard, police, police. Get down on the ground. And I went and jumped behind my door, waiting until they came to my room. And as soon as I stepped around from behind my door, there was a guy with a balaclava with a shotgun in my face telling me to get down on the ground, get down on the ground. As I was lowering down to the ground, I could see that he was wearing some sort of body armour, like maybe a bulletproof vest.
My bedroom was just beside the front door. And they made us go into the bedrooms and they made us stand on the bed.
I thought they were going to kill us. I thought we could die.
While all this was happening, Amber was in the bathroom.
I was in the shower, getting ready for school. I could hear yelling and loud noises, and then remember thinking, what is going on? I felt panicked. Mum and my brothers have told me that they heard me screaming. I remember being in a towel. They were shouting, standing around me in their black outfits, and I was dripping wet in front of all these men, feeling really afraid and crying and being really confused as to why this was happening.
I was crying. I didn't even realise that. And they told me to shut up and then the kids would calm down. We were all crying. 2 or 3 guys in the bedroom with their guns. We just had to stand there and be still while they, you know, searched the house.
It felt like a really long time.
I was saying to them, you know, why are you here? What are you doing this to us for?
You know, you're sound asleep, and next thing you hear just smashing glass.
The Moriarty whānau were not alone. The Smith whānau up the road were hit not long after.
I just went, what the heck? Jumped out of bed, ran to the door, and all you see is guys in balaclavas with guns yelling at you, screaming. They'd smashed the door down. By then, there was all broken glass on the ground. I was made to lay on the broken glass.
More than 6 homes and 35 individuals were victims of the raids. Half of those were children.
A very traumatic experience, and always felt so much shame and embarrassment, and like it was somehow my fault, our fault.
What's it like now, hearing your tamariki talk about it?
Emotional. I feel guilty that I didn't protect them from that happening. Yeah, it's hard.
The trust in us as a community had gone. We didn't know who to trust.
Of all those impacted by the armed police raid, only Bruce Smith and his wife are left in Te Reureu Valley.
A lot of the families started moving out for that altercation with the raids. In the end, we're the only family still here. We had to keep those home fires, the tribal fires, still burning on our whenua.
This is where it all happened?
Yeah, this is our family dwelling. We were raided by the police at that time.
So why did police come in such force to this tiny community? At the time, police were on high alert. More than $45,000 of guns had recently been stolen from a private collection in nearby Rongotea. Police can only search a private home if they have a search warrant. Police involved in the raid claimed they had search warrants for the Te Reureu operation.
Kia ora tātou, ko Clifford Brown Ho.
This came into question in front of the Waitangi Tribunal in 2020 as part of the Ngāti Raukawa claim.
I hold the rank of Inspector with New Zealand Police.
The raid had been included as evidence of Crown ill-treatment towards the iwi.
6 houses that were, what do you call that? I call it a raid. What would you use?
We would use the terminology of executing a search warrant.
Those 6 houses were the subject of 6 different search warrants.
Correct.
Right. There's no evidence of those 6 warrants.
Correct.
You couldn't find any evidence of the 6 warrants.
Couldn't find the documents, correct.
Did they present a warrant? Did they tell you why they were there?
No, they just pushed in, pushed the door open with quite a bit of force, like it pushed me out of the way. And yeah, there was no warrant. I didn't see any warrant.
Information obtained by the hui shows police did an extensive internal investigation. However, no police file of the incident or search warrants were found. A 2016 project to clear out tens of thousands of police files led to the conclusion the Rongotea robbery file was likely destroyed.
2 men were later charged for the gun robbery. Neither of them were connected to the families in Te Reureu Valley. These guns have still never been recovered.
And the police admit it now that we were totally innocent. No, there's no involvement from the valley. I approached the police the next day in Fielding and asked them why did they hit us like that, and the sergeant at that time just says, because you showed good form.
What do you think he meant by that?
We were quite a strong community. I admit that some of us were perfect angels, you know. We'd had other altercations with police previous before that.
They didn't go to anybody else's house, only the Māori whānau down Te Reureu.
There was clear evidence of certain households being targeted whilst other households weren't. So
racism at play?
Yeah, so there were 6 households that were targeted, and in between these households were non-Māori households, and they weren't targeted.
The raid left a lasting impact.
I remember having some quite vivid dreams of men standing at my door as a child.
I spent a lot of time sort of replaying it in my mind. Yeah, it kept me up a lot at night.
I had a time in my life where I got quite anxious. When the anxiety became too much, that I had to address it. I couldn't just keep shutting it down.
They're all still suffering from it.
The Waitangi Tribunal directed the police to commission a psychological report on the impact of the raid on the families. This report found all whānau suffered a range of mental health issues as a consequence of the raid. These included nightmares, depression, suicidal ideation, and substance abuse.
The impact that a traumatic event would have like that on them is quite severe and extensive. This call-out, this raid, was the largest raid since the Aramoana massacres. And so there were over 50 police that were involved in raiding these 6 houses.
Psychologist Luke Rowe authored the report.
The psychological report says that all whānau that you interviewed suffered psychological impacts. Were you surprised by that?
No, I think the important part is the accumulative effects, because one incident on its own, while that in itself can be traumatic, it's the domino effect. So the incident, then you've got the isolation and the avoidance.
What does that do to a person?
If you don't trust anyone and then you isolate and avoid for too long, then you get really sad, because as humans, we're naturally socialistic people, but this event has forced you to be like that. And so then you get that accumulation of issues as a result of this one event over here. People don't necessarily appreciate, understand, maybe even empathise with the impact that historical events can have even onto our tamariki rangatahi today.
How should police approach raids in order to protect children involved?
And the importance and the value of having those iwi liaison positions are crucial. Like, they need to be more than just the karakia police. People who have the skill set to work with tamariki rangatahi.
30 years after the raids, whānau call for a meeting with police.
Is there anything that you want to say to police?
You've destroyed my trust, and I don't know if it could be repaired.
I'm feeling quite angry. Why bully our mum and children, making us stand on that bed for over an hour with big guns pointed at us? How dare you do that to my children?
What would be the ideal outcome for you after today's hui?
Everyone being able to release their mamae and move forward and not hold on to it anymore.
Whānau are currently in a closed-door hui with police at Paupata Te Marae. This is the first time police have fronted since that fateful morning 30 years ago. Some of the whānau haven't even been back here since the raid. They're looking for answers. Most importantly, they're hoping the police can tell them why.
I got my chance to tell them I was angry.
How did that feel?
Extremely emotional, but I was determined to do it. So, yeah, I stood up and said, I'm really angry, and how dare you do that to my children?
But whānau didn't get the answers they were looking for.
The main guy who was in charge now has dementia.
But we did hear that why they had decided to do it was because of stolen guns being found. But that had nothing to do with anybody in the valley, and they acknowledged that. So we do have that kind of why, but at the same time it's like, well, why us? Which we didn't really get that answer.
The police process with the Te Reureu families is ongoing. There are talks of an apology, but what Te Reureu whānau say they really want is a guarantee this won't happen to more innocent people.
You don't have the right to hit the whole Māori community like they did with us.
One of the best things would be an actual systemic change within the police. You know, we know from statistics how they target Māori people, and so they need to adjust how they treat us, fix how they treat us.
Papa.